Since 2017, the Italian Wine Podcast has exploded, recently hitting 6 million listens. Support us by buying a copy of Italian Wine Unplugged 2.0 or making a small donation. In return, we'll give you the chance to nominate a guest and even win lunch with Stevie Kim and Professor Attilio Scienza. Find out more at italianwinepodcast.com. Chin chin!
Welcome to the Italian Wine Podcast. I'm Cynthia Chaplin, and this is Voices. Every Wednesday, I will be sharing conversations with international wine industry professionals, discussing issues in diversity, equity, and inclusion through their personal experiences working in the field of wine. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe and rate our show wherever you get your pods. Hello and welcome to Voices. This is Cynthia Chaplin, and I'm very happy to welcome Federica Schir to Voices today. Federica is a fellow resident of Verona, and she's been working in wine and food and travel and tourism for over 20 years. And she's in Tuscany today, so thank you for giving us your time. Federica, welcome to Voices.
Hi, Cynthia. Thank you very much for this invitation. I'm very happy to have this interview and conversation with you. Speaking about wine, which is our life. I understood that you are in the same branch like me.
We are two wine women, which is great. So these are my favorite conversations. And I know you were born in Merano, which is a place I really love, and your family background is both German and Italian. So I'm just wondering how you got interested in wine. How did you get interested in the industry, and what were your first jobs in the wine sector? What brought you to wine?
Okay, yes, I'm come from Merano, South Tyrolean, and as you know, both there we speak both Italian and German, which are spoken fluently. And as like all good things in life, my encounter with wine came about by chance. I had a former experience in tourism because I worked in Club Med abroad. And when I came at home, I didn't know what to do. And I was asked to collaborate with a company which organized the Merano Wine Festival, which I think you know. And that was supposed to be a temporary collaboration, but quickly became my professional reference point. And after a couple of years, I bought some shares in the company, which I kept until 2006 about. And at this point, I was so in love with wine business, wines, PR, and communication that my career continues to go on through the opening of my agency, which is a communication agency.
Well, you're right. I love the Merano Wine Festival. I'm a big fan. And of course, I do know your main business is now in public and media relations. I'm so happy to hear you started in Club Med. I think there are many young people in the world who don't understand how big and important and fun Club Med was back in the 80s.
Yes, absolutely. It was amazing.
And it brought you to wine, which is fantastic. So you started your own company called Media Wine. I'm guessing you sold your Merano Wine Festival shares. What a good investment that was.
Yes, it was a big investment, but it was the half part, quite less than the half part. It was a big investment, but I was so in love also with the exhibition and so on that I really tried to make this, and I get it. But going on with the years, in the company is always difficult, always when there is a man and a woman, and the different ideas of the event itself, and so I preferred to sell my shares.
Well, I think you did such a brave thing, because 2007 doesn't seem very long ago, but I've lived in lots of different places in Europe. In 2007, there was still a lot of room for women in the Italian wine industry. So to start Media Wine then on your own was very brave, and it's become a PR company that's very well respected. So let's talk a little bit about PR companies and the role that they play, with Italian wineries. How do you support and promote the wine industry at Media Wines. How's it going since 2007? So we're going back now 16 years.
Yes, also Media Wine changed it right now, and this is just Federica Schir PR. So I am just for my own. And everything changed, like you said before, because women were not so encouraged for doing wine business at the time. And I tried, and I was lucky because coming out from the Verona Wine Festival, I knew a lot of journalists, producers, and I have a different touch with the wine because during my work in the wine festival, I was responsible of 3 tasting commissions. So my work with the company is always getting a help, giving them a help also in the wine. And when I approach a company, I absolutely want to taste the wine and to know the wines that they produce, because it's for me very important for what I'm doing and for what I am communicating to the journalist.
No, I completely agree. I would never write an article or do a podcast or promote a wine that I hadn't personally tasted. And I think that's something that's so important in our industry, to be authentic and to be as real and as transparent as we can. So I love that about what you're doing, tasting and actually being physically there, meeting producers, working with them is really important. So you're doing all of that and promoting our Italian wine business outside of Italy and inside. And I know that you create what you call on your website a turnkey project for consortiums and wine companies in Italy. So I just want to ask you, what is a turnkey project? What does that mean to you? Sort of fill us in on how your clients find you and how you create these very bespoke special projects for them.
Okay, the clients just I go through a lot of events, presentation, and so on. I also cooperate with a journalist in Germany, and with him I make also anteprimas on his behalf. So I met also the producers and also the journalist, and that's the way in which people know me and ask me to cooperate. A tailor-made project for me is initially based on the study of the client. I try normally to develop a tailor-made communication strategy, combining the client needs and the market, of course. And what is important for me to say is that I am quite a different agency because I work by myself. I just have a girl helping me in the back office, but all the contacts on the relationship with producers and journalists are made by myself in person. I don't want to have anyone an account, a junior account, because for me it's important to speak to people, whether producers or journalists, and to have this exchange of things, of sorting, and so on.
Again, I think that really speaks to this idea of being authentic and transparent, less commercial, but it's so important in our industry now. People are on the lookout, particularly after the advent of AI now, for things that are fake and that are not real and that don't feel personal, as you said, tailor-made, and really as if you've been there and you've talked to the people and you've been in touch with them personally and decided to take them on as clients or not. So how big is your client list at the moment?
I have at the moment about 10 clients divided in wineries and also small clients for which I organize a small events, which a single presentation or anniversary and so on. The other part of my clients, I follow them all over the year. So organizing press lunch, press tours, tasting, and helping them during the exhibition like Vinitaly and so on.
Exactly. Well, I don't think people really realize outside of Italy that there are over 40,000 wineries in Italy, and Italy is smaller than California, so a very small place with a very long and deep and wide world of wine. So I think those services that you're providing are so needed here. We need people who speak languages, who are creative in the way they communicate. So you're also producing some press tours and events. So tell us a little bit about your tours and how do you decide who to invite and where to take them, and what's the goal of trips and events like this? How do you measure if they're successful?
The most part of a press tour are organized at the wineries. So in this occasion, I try to highlight the special features of the producers and the wines, of course. And during a press tour, we organize a technical tasting, but we also bring people on the territory to discover all the part inside the winery is working. And the same happens also for the events, where I try to highlight the topic and the protagonist of the event itself. Obviously, it's the important thing, as I told before, is having the right idea and the right knowledge about what we are presenting, from one part from the wineries and the other part for what the journalist is looking for. So the measures, the repercussions are measured through the press review, and also for about what is published on the social media.
And social media is so important these days. How much have you seen it change during your career?
Completely. When I started, there was there was no social media at all. At this moment, I think it's quite most important that journalism and press. I'm old, I'm not that idea. I think that a good article in which the journalist speaks about the wines has still more weight than pictures in a social media. They both are so important and they have to work together. Because when I have the press review, I get the articles and I forward it on the social media. So I have the double of the result, because there are people reading all the online or the press, the printed press, and also there are people which are only looking at the social media. So there are same important.
Exactly. I think that's a good point. I think that's such a good point of making the balance of the printed word, which is often longer to read, and with more detail and often more experience and knowledge behind it. But we need to have these visual images, photographs, and videos to capture a new generation of wine drinkers and consumers. To capture their imagination, they need to have a visual to draw them into the printed word. So I think you're really correct that both of them have to balance each other. And it's not an easy job to do, especially when it's something that came into the world long after we had both started our careers. So it's an interesting time to figure out how to make these two things work together. But I agree, they must work together.
Wine to Wine Business Forum. Everything you need to get ahead in the world of wine. Supersize your business network. Share business ideas with the biggest voices in the industry. Join us in Verona on November 13 to 14, 2023. Tickets available now at winetowine.net.
Yes, the printed article, as you said, is long to read and you don't have. But if you started from the social media, then you have to deepen you can deepen all the things. So you can go and look after what it was written and to have a different idea or a larger idea about that.
That is correct. So I'm guessing most of your guests, when you're organizing tours and events, are journalists or social media influencers.
Absolutely, yes. I try to match them for having both the part and also both journalists have written like a technical about technical tasting and so on, but also lifestyle. because we know that Italy is wonderful in this part, and so when you visit a winery, it's very important to discover also the background and what is around the winery. For example, on the next weekend, I will be in the market near Urbino, and we organize like an art tour between the technical tasting and the dinner and so on, discovering the artists who were born there and what they produced. So not for having only wine tasting and then this red wine, good acidity and so on, but also something that put the wine in a real place.
Absolutely. A cultural and a historical context. I think that really makes wine come alive. It's such an old beverage and it has been part of art for so long. Italy does that very well. So I'm glad that you're addressing that for your clients.
Yes, you have absolutely to contextualize what you are doing.
Exactly. What do you think about the future of wine tourism for just an average consumer? We've seen post-pandemic, people can fly again, they can travel again, and there's been an upsurge in wine tourism. How do you feel about just average wine drinkers coming to be wine tourists in Italy?
Again, we have to create an osmosis between the wine, the location, and the facilities, and any products which come or are related to the world of wine, such the artisanal food, and so on. Because every single wine comes from a history of the family, of the place, and so on. And I think that enoturism is so important for Italian, but also for all other parts in the world, because it gives you a picture of the cultural part of the place, and also the state you are visiting.
Absolutely, I agree. And the need to tell the story to people who aren't from that country is so crucial to their understanding and their appreciation. And I think also their willingness to buy things. So, enotourism as a sales force is something that's new and growing. And I think anything we can do to support that is going to be useful. But what do you think wineries can do to attract more visitors from outside of Italy?
Uh, it's difficult because every winery try to present itself by saying "My is the best wine. We make the best Verdicchio or Amarone or whatever," and because they are like parents with their child, and so you have to give them the key to explain it according to the place that they are living in, and not only saying this wine, but why you are making this wine, the producer is making this wine, which is very important. Moreover, giving the opportunity to touch the work they are making, visiting the vineyards and so on, the cellar, not only this touristic part that's you enter in a half hour, you have everything. I think it's would be nice to have a more deeper contact between the producers and the visitors.
I think that's a very good point. I know myself when I go to visit a winery and they brush me off and the visit is very fast and the tasting is very fast and superficial. It's not satisfactory and it doesn't make me want to come back or buy the wine. So, of course, I'm in the wine industry, so that doesn't happen to me very often. But I look at my own clients who come to Italy and they really want to be immersed in the history and the tradition and understanding about the different grapes. So I think you're right. Wineries could do a little bit better job in Italy of explaining not why their wine is the best, but why their winery is special. and how it fits into the landscape. So I think that's a very good point. I agree with you.
Yeah, because it's we are in the wine business, and perhaps when we arrive and when we enter a winery, they are so happy to welcome us and so on. But it's not the same when a tourist is coming inside and they just think to sell them wines, and they don't take enough time to explain what they are doing, and that is a problem.
Well, and I think sometimes it's a language issue. I think we need to work harder here in Italy in having more people in hospitality in our vineyards, even our small vineyards, who can communicate with foreigners, German speakers, English speakers, Spanish speakers, and make them feel included. Italy has so much to offer in its wine tourism. So I think I think you're right. I think our Italian wineries are on the right track, but they could work harder at their storytelling and not so much on selling.
Yes, there is also a dichotomy between the big wineries, in which is everything organized. You can buy three wines tasting, five wine tasting, and that is also it seems to me to be so cold, because when I enter a winery, I speak with the people, and when the people is nice to me and I feel good, I will perhaps taste 10 wines. And so I don't want to be obliged to decide before and say, okay, I come at 3 and I will make the 4 wines tasting. And then when it's over, they say, okay, that is the door, but goodbye. It's a bit. Otherwise, there are the small producers in which you enter and you don't know when are you going away, because they put wine and wine on the table, taking old vintages and so on. I think the right thing is in the middle, of course.
And of course, those are the best days. Those are the best days when people understand that real romantic spirit of Italian hospitality. Those are very special days to be cherished, but not everyone can do that. You're right.
And also, I think producers has to read the people which are there, to understand if there is a wine lover which has just to take and to make an experience, or is a technical person who has to improve his knowledge. And so you can go deeper in this part. But if I have in front of me a person who has not idea about the difference of the wines, it's hard when you start to speak about polyphenol, acidity, and so on. It's boring. It's getting boring.
I'm a wine educator, and I teach Italian wines and I teach WSET wines. So I know when I have lost my audience, when they suddenly stare at me as if I've gone crazy. And I think you're right. People need to be able to read their clients, their audience, and who's sitting in their winery. They've invited them in, they're a guest, and how to treat their guest the best way possible. So that's a very good point. But you live in Verona now, as I do, and it's a great location to work in Italian wine. We're near Valpolicella and Bardolino and Soave and Lugana and all of these wonderful places. So what do you see yourself doing in the next 5 years? So many new things are happening in our industry. What would you like to do? What are your goals for your company in the next couple of years?
Well, yes, we have the fortune to live in a city surrounded by brands connected in the world of wine that make really the Italian wine history. And for this reason, this market space can be opened and supported by strong and stimulating communication. I hope in the next 5 years that I can optimize my cooperation, well, my partnership, and also to help wineries to have a global vision, respecting also the system that I try to reduce this, to make this view on a required global market, because it's very important to be put it in a global place. So not only Valpolicella, not only Bardolino, always maintaining the history of what we are doing and the producers, the winery are doing, but also enlarging this knowledge outside this regional and local place.
Absolutely. Italy remains one of the biggest wine producers in the world, and yet so often when I'm traveling, people outside of Italy don't know all that much about native grapes or wine styles. And I think it is our responsibility, as Italian wine ambassadors, to make the communication better and clearer and stronger so that people outside of Italy can understand and get excited and want to taste and try and visit. So I agree. I think optimizing communication and a global vision is a great goal. So thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Thank you, Cynthia. We both try, because your part also and my part together with the producers, I think we can work on this.
Well, this was a wonderful opportunity to chat with you. I'm so glad that we were able to have this conversation. And I really appreciate your experience in the industry and how much you're planning to do in the future with communication and a more global vision for our smaller and Italian wineries and getting our message out there. So thank you for giving me time today. I hope you have a great time in Tuscany, and I'll see you in Verona soon.
Thank you, Cynthia. Yes, we have absolutely to meet and share a glass of wine together.
Thank you for listening, and remember to tune in next Wednesday when I'll be chatting with another fascinating guest. Italian Wine Podcast is among the leading wine podcasts in the world and the only one with a daily show. Tune in every day and discover all our different shows. You can find us at ItalianWinePodcast.com, SoundCloud, Spotify, Himalaya, or wherever you get your pods.